Hey everybody, NWA Prepper here. We're Star Wars farmer today, I guess. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about building fire lines around your homestead. And up here, up this hill is where the homestead is. And then, or where my retreat is, I guess. So down here, there is and you can kind of see it here, there's an elevation change because right here it drops off. And since fire burns faster uphill, I don't want to try to fight it on an incline where it's going to burn hotter and faster. I want to wait till it breaks so the temperature, the heat goes up instead of into the foliage and stuff, past it. That'll make it easier. So we're going to do a fire line from over here all the way around. And first I'm going to do a piece with rakes, and I'll show them to you. And then we're going to do another two kinds of rakes. We have a council rake and a leaf rake, and I'll show you how they'll do in this really heavy stuff or heavy duff on the bottoms. And then I'll show you my preferred method. Either way, it's not an easy job. You definitely want to have your protective eyewear on, even you're chopping with an axe or with a rake. You want a good pair of gloves, and good protective clothing. It doesn't have to be overalls, but anyway, that's what we're going to do today, and we'll demonstrate the way each fire line looks. The width of it is, for me, the wider the better, of course, but you want it at least 1.5 times whatever can burn around it. In our kind of woods, that's complicated, so I go for the width of a tool, whatever tool I'm using, at least that wide. So that's about 5 feet. And I'm going to use natural barriers like rocks. There's big boulders around here, so we're going to use those to our advantage because they don't burn. The goal is to keep anything that does burn out of that fire line or out of that fire break. So you have to look up if there's a limb that's leaning over. We'll have to remove the limb. Anything, a snag that may fall. I see a snag over here. Any logs that are laying across the line, you either need to cut them and remove them from that fire line. You want it all the way down to soil, the best you can, and I'll demonstrate that. So here was my tripod. We're gonna take it with us. And over here is, now I'll have to go completely around this guy or cut it and move it. Here is the leaves. You can see how I came through, and I just used that leaf rake, and I just went and drug it down to the soil. And of course I only did 10 feet or so. You can see over here, I'm going to go around that pile and out that way, and there's a road over yonder. Now when I come to little trees like this, I go around it because I don't want it to have anything at the base that can catch it on fire. But you can see I'm all the way down to dirt. So that's our goal. Now I know going down to the soil is not the most environmentally friendly thing to do. What we're doing today isn't about protecting the environment. It's about taking and protecting our homestead, our home, our property. Because fire doesn't care about the environment. It's wonderful for the environment. And some people may ask, well, why don't I burn this? Well, because I have buildings right there and equipment, that I don't want all this underbrush and debris underneath or around if I burn it. So I still have to make a fire line to burn it. The great thing about this is I can make this fire ground or this fire break, and I can make it around my property, around, I'm doing these 4 buildings or 4 things down here today. We can do the fire break around it, and then when conditions are right, it's too dry today, then we can burn it either on the outside and remove the debris, or on the inside in small patches. And that's my preference, is to make a ring of fire break at least the width of a tool, or as tall as I am, around whatever small area I'm going to be burning. And there are no snags that can cross this line, and this is short, but it's good. Got a few more limbs to move out, and I run the chainsaw for a few minutes and cut some snags, and I've got to take out a little tree that's kind of leaning and not the healthiest, but it's leaning not away from what I'm trying to protect, but it's leaning towards it, so it's got to go. And so we'll get a little bit more done, and then we'll take a peek at it again. Remember, don't do this in a preventive measure. Well, do this first before you start a fire. You don't want to be trying to do this while there's a fire burning, because it can go places you didn't think it was. It's going to go places you don't want it to go, and things like that. So we want to give the fire our full attention. So we want our fire breaks and our fire lines done before we ever think of lighting a match. I'll be back. So there it is. There's my firefighting buddy right there. A backpack blower. Now that doesn't replace the rakes. Sorry. It doesn't replace the other hand tools. An axe. That's a flathead axe. You have Pulaski's and pick-headed axes. You got all kinds of axes, but that's the one that I prefer for this. Mostly because I don't have a Pulaski. I've always wanted one, or a brush axe, some people call them, but leaf rake and a council rake. And so that council rake and leaf rake is what I'm going to use to finish all these little sticks that the blower didn't get very well, and a couple that I'll need the shovel for. But you can see, of course you can see where the light is, the dirt's already drying out where this soil is really wet. And there's, whew, yeah, that's my new shovel. It's still relatively new. But you can see what I'm trying to do is, here's one of our buildings, and I'm trying to get that 6 or 8 feet all the way down to soil around it. And then down here, of course, this is where I stopped to take a water break. I'm going around the trees because I don't want them inside that fire line. And you can see it now that's 2 foot pile of leaves all the way around the area I've been working. Deep. A little more there. Of course, I'm going to turn this into a seating area because there's some big rocks there to use as stability. So you can see it goes a little further than 10 feet from the building. But that's the goal. And with that goal in mind, the most important thing is that if this land catches on fire, checking on supply buildings and outbuildings, or even our main homes, we have other things to worry about. Now, these tools that I've talked about will work great during a fire. I mean, that's what firefighters use. But it's so much easier and better if you just do this as preventive maintenance. Keep this stuff away. I mean, keep it down. Keep it short. If you have grass, keep it really short. There's some plants that you can plant around your homes and buildings that don't not only add to the physical security of it, but also add to Sorry, butterfly. I got distracted by a squirrel, I guess. They also add to the fire prevention in your homes. You can find those at firewise.org. There's all kinds of literature and stuff there. That's a great program. It applies to teaching you how to take care of your houses and your outbuildings. It focuses more on out west, but the principles are exactly the same here. And there's region-specific stuff you can select on that website. A little bit of fire prevention goes a long way. We'll come over here and I'll review on the tools, starting with, of course, I have built-in eye protection. Then you want a decent pair of gloves. Of course, I got a new pair a couple weeks ago, so they're still getting broke in. And then hearing protection, just regular earplugs. If I'm dealing with fire, like around fire, then I don't like the foam earplugs, just because somewhere in my head they're going to melt and burn my ears. So let's review on some of the other tools other than the chainsaws. I did a whole video just on the chainsaw use and didn't, I guess I should have videoed while I was cutting down a tree. It's not very big, 4 inches around. I'm not very skilled. So anyway, let's talk about some tools again. There is my new shovel. It is still relatively new. It still has some work to be done over here. There's some roots and snags that I'm going to dig up. There is a backpack blower. Now that one is awesome. I mean, it's just a Husqvarna backpack blower. It's loud. You can see the sound stuff. Up to 106 decibels. Whew. So you definitely want to wear that ear protection. And gloves, the vibration, even though it's a nice handle, the vibration will shake you around a bit. You need fuel and things to take care of that, but here are the workhorses. The 2 rakes, a leaf rake, a council rake, and a pole axe or a flat-headed axe. There's lots of kinds, but those are the ones I use. So I've got some more to do to get this. Of course, over here, this is about, I don't know, 10 feet, 12 feet. This is where Scout likes to build his debris huts. And so I've left over there, there's a, let it focus a little. There's a downed cedar tree that's been over good that he'll like to make one of his debris forts. And then here is his last one. I guess not his last one. His last one he made here because we haven't been out here for a while. All this stuff is going to burn down your buildings and your home. Do this before the fire, guys. Thanks for watching. I know this one was a little squirrely because I've been focused on work, not on videos. Thanks for watching. Let's get ready.